What's the most common form of a moving scam?
Uh, Most common form, I would say, would be any company that actually solicits you, calls you on the phone, and asks you, "Do you need a quote? Are you moving?" So on and so forth. Typically, if that happens, the moving industry in a general way, we're not allowed to solicit you. We're not allowed to call you. We're not allowed to approach you that way. We can advertise and whatnot. So if we do that, we actually lose our license. So if I was to do that here at Slattery Moving and you called up the Department of Transportation, it's grounds for losing my license. It's a very serious offense. So then anybody who would be willing to do that either doesn't have a license or is really unscrupulous that they'd be willing to lose there. So I would say that would be definitely the number one.
Are there any other moving scams you might want to make consumers aware of?
Scam, yeah. I mean, the other thing I would think would be the most prevalent that I hear a lot of through my clients is, people are shopping online all the time now. It's just the way it happens. And they click on what they think is a moving company. They get an online quote, they get a deposit, and the next thing they know, the name of the company person, when they show up in the move, is not the same person. They're demanding more money, and it just becomes really difficult. They're like what we call online brokers. Is they're a company that are allowed to book your work and then sub it out to whoever is their lowest bidder. So that just never works out. And I don't know if it's really a scam, but they're not really telling you that they're not the moving company that's coming out to you for sure.
How about on the nature of moving estimates? An estimate is exactly that, it's an estimate. So how would someone be taking advantage of using an estimate?
Well, there's a couple ways. I mean, there's two ways in the moving business to get, I call it quoting, which would either be a quote, which is a quote is by definition a price that I'm telling you it's going to be, or an estimate by definition is it's a probability of what it's going to be. An estimate on any level, which is going to be an hourly rate, it's probably not going to work out for you. I mean, there are slim instances where if you had an hourly rate, it's better for you. If you really have a lot of moving parts to your move, furniture going here, donation going there, and all that kind of stuff, and you're not sure what's happening, then an hourly is good. You just use this for the amount of time that you're going. But typically, if you have it kind of dialed in and you know what's going where and the dates, then a guaranteed quote would be the way to go. So I would say, I wouldn't call it a scam on the level of the estimate, but I would say definitely be aware of not getting a firm number in writing from a legitimate company.
How about if you suspect that one of your quotes or estimates are just way out of the norm? I mean, if you get one that's really low in comparison to ones that are somewhat, I guess, similar.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I've been dealing with this for 24 years, and that's very common. Very common. You'll get 2 to 4 estimates, and you get a low one, a high one, a couple in the middle, typically. I hope for you, whoever's watching this, that you get all similar, so you can just kind of pick from the quality mover that you want to pick from. But that's typically not the case. So the old adage is you throw out the low one, you throw out the high one, and you take the middle one. And necessarily in the moving business is not the best way to go, only because if you're getting an estimate on a middle quote, then that could be the same as the higher quote. So you're having like a skew there. Typically, I can tell you though, the lower quotes, they never stick. For some reason, they found out, on the day of the move that you had more stuff or you didn't tell them, and typically like that. So you're definitely between the middle and the higher quote, and kind of how you figure it out is you really have to feel about the company. You have to feel about who's coming to you. Is it the owner doing the quote that's coming to you, or is it just an estimator? Not that an estimator just doing his job is not a good thing, but there's a big difference between an owner and an estimator.
And how about, do you have any recommendations on how to research the companies that you want to hire?
Yeah, the first thing I would do is definitely look for a referral. A recommendation, somebody who's used the company, check with your real estate agent, check with some real estate agents. You may be just renting, so that's fine too. You check with a real estate agent that you know, your lawyer that has something to do with the closing. Also local business owners. You ask a local business owner who the best X company is, they have a feel on who it is because they're all in the same kind of pool, and they'll let you know right away. So those are the 3 ways I would definitely check on it. And then of course you can do your reviews online. That would be my last resort because they could be skewed as well, just as well. But I definitely think for 100% a referral recommendation is the way to go.